What is up, everybody? It's your host with the most AI news, back with another video. Today, we are diving headfirst into the wild world of AI art because things just got very real. Listen, AI art generators have been generating some amazing art, no doubt, but there's a massive legal battle brewing and the artists are racking up some serious wins. We're talking about copyright infringement lawsuits against major players like Stability AI and Midjourney, and this is a case that could change the landscape of AI art as we know it. So buckle up, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, because we are about to break it all down right here, right now on All About AI Tech. Alright guys, so this all starts with a class action lawsuit filed by a group of artists against Stability AI, Midjourney, DeviantArt, and Runway AI. The artists are alleging that these companies used their copyrighted artwork to train their AI models. And here's the kicker. They did it without asking for permission or even giving a shout out to the original artists. I mean, talk about a slap in the face, right? The artists are not playing around. They're saying, hey, you're making money off our backs, and that's not cool. This whole thing basically boils down to whether it's legal for AI companies to use publicly available data, including artwork, to train their algorithms, or if that data is protected under copyright law. This isn't just some open and shut case, people. This is uncharted territory. It's a total gray area, and the court's decision is going to have a huge ripple effect on AI development going forward. Let's be real, the art world is built on creativity, passion, and countless hours of, let's face it, often thankless work. Artists pour their heart and soul into their creations, and the idea of some AI just swooping in and essentially copying their style, their techniques, all without any acknowledgement or compensation. Well, it's understandable why so many artists are fired up. For many artists, it's not just about the art itself, it's about protecting their livelihood. Imagine spending years honing your craft, building a name for yourself in a super competitive industry, only to have some algorithm come along and potentially undercut everything you've worked for. Not cool. And listen, this isn't just a hypothetical scenario, we're talking about real-world implications here. The rise of AI art generators has already had a significant impact on the art market, and the artists are right to be concerned about the potential long-term consequences. Now, let's talk about Stable Diffusion for a second because this one is a big deal. Stable Diffusion, as most of you know, is an open-source AI image generator. That means that unlike some other models out there, its code is, you could say, freely available for anyone to use and modify, which, on the one hand, is pretty cool, right? It democratizes access to AI in a way, which is awesome. But this accessibility also opens up a whole can of worms when it comes to copyright. Because anyone can download, tinker with, and use Stable Diffusion, it becomes much harder to regulate how it's trained. And that means it's also harder to control what kind of data it's being fed. And that brings us back to the artists and their lawsuit. See, Stable Diffusion was trained on a massive dataset of images scraped from the internet. And we're talking billions of images, people. Now, while the creators of Stable Diffusion claim that they only used publicly available data, the artists argue that a significant portion of that data was actually copyrighted artwork that was used without their permission. Not cool, right? Okay, so we can't talk AI art without shining a spotlight on Midjourney, right? I mean, this platform has absolutely exploded in popularity, and with good reason, its art generation capabilities are really next level. But with great power comes great responsibility, as they say. And Midjourney has also found itself at the center of this copyright storm. Midjourney, much like Stable Diffusion, was trained on a massive dataset of images. And yes, you guessed it, that dataset included a whole bunch of copyrighted artwork. The platform actually allows users to specify an artist's style in their prompts, which essentially lets them generate images that look like they were created by that particular artist. And while the intent might be to enable artistic exploration, the reality is that it also opens up a big, fat can of copyright issues. Because even though users aren't directly copying and pasting an artist's work, they're still, in a way, replicating their style, their unique creative voice. As many of you know, DeviantArt has been a go-to online community for digital artists for years. I mean, the platform has just about everything, from digital paintings to photo manipulations to, well, you name it. But even DeviantArt, a platform meant to celebrate and elevate artists, found itself wrapped up in this copyright battle, and that's because DeviantArt launched its own AI art generator called DreamUp. Now, DreamUp wasn't exactly met with open arms by the DeviantArt community. A lot of artists were concerned about the ethical implications of using their work to train AI, especially without their explicit consent. They were worried that DreamUp would be used to churn out cheap imitations of their art, which, in turn, could potentially devalue their work. And look, it's a valid concern. And despite DeviantArt's efforts to address these concerns, they even implemented a No AI tag. The controversy surrounding DreamUp definitely highlighted how messy this whole AI copyright situation is. Now, in the midst of all this legal drama, there are actually some AI art generators out there that are trying to do things differently. And one in particular that I want to mention is Artbreeder. Now, unlike some of the other players we've talked about, Artbreeder isn't about replicating existing art styles. Instead, it's more about, you could say, exploration and remixing. It's like, instead of directly copying a Picasso, Artbreeder gives you the tools to blend different art styles together and create something totally new. It's a more collaborative approach to AI art, and I'm all for it. This doesn't mean Artbreeder is in the clear when it comes to copyright questions, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. It's all about finding that balance, isn't it? Using AI as a tool to augment human creativity and push the boundaries of art without exploiting artists or infringing on their rights. We can't talk AI image generators without giving a shout out to the OG, the one that really kicked off this whole AI art craze, DALL-E 2, developed by our friends over at OpenAI. And DALL-E 2 is, let's just say, on another level. I mean, this thing can generate incredibly realistic images from just about any text prompt you throw at it. And the quality is insane. But even with all its power and sophistication, DALL-E 2 has inevitably been swept up in the copyright debate as well. Why? Because guess what? DALL-E 2 was also trained on a massive dataset of images scraped from the web, and yeah, you guessed it, that includes copyrighted artwork. Now, OpenAI is well aware of the ethical and legal implications here, and they've actually implemented a bunch of safeguards to address these concerns. For example, they have a pretty strict content policy in place to prevent users from generating inappropriate content or content that violates copyright law. They're also working on developing tools that can help identify and remove copyrighted material from their training datasets. So, we've talked about the lawsuit, we've talked about some of the key players, but what does this all really mean for the future of AI art? Well, the bottom line is this: the outcome of this legal battle is going to have huge implications. If the courts side with the artists, it could force AI companies to completely rethink how they train their models. We could see a world where AI companies have to obtain explicit permission from artists before using their work in training datasets. We might even see the emergence of new licensing models for AI training data, which would be pretty interesting. On the other hand, if the AI companies prevail, it could set a precedent that would make it much easier for future AI developers to use just about any type of data imaginable to train their algorithms. And that includes copyrighted material. So, as you can see, the stakes are very high. Now, in the meantime, as this legal battle goes on, many artists are taking matters into their own hands. They're fighting back against AI using their own technology, and that's where Glaze and Nightshade come in. These are two new tools that have been getting a lot of buzz in the art community, and they're designed to help artists protect their work from being scraped and used to train AI models. The basic idea behind Glaze and Nightshade is actually pretty clever. They work by subtly altering the artist's original artwork in a way that's imperceptible to the human eye, but that totally throws off AI algorithms. It's like injecting a little bit of digital camouflage into the artwork. Glaze, for example, it disrupts the way AI models perceive an artist's style. It basically makes it much harder for AI to mimic that particular artist's work. On the other hand, Nightshade's a little bit different. It injects what they call poisoned pixels into the artwork. And these pixels, they don't affect how the art looks to us humans, but they totally mess up an AI's ability to recognize and replicate the image. Are Glaze and Nightshade foolproof? Look, no technology is perfect, and as AI continues to evolve, it's likely that these tools will need to evolve as well. But, for the time being, they're offering artists at least some measure of protection.